Hello everyone, this is from Rayn Studios. So if you have been following my channel, you might have noticed that I haven't been uploading videos for quite some time now. The reason was that I was feeling very low-key and I was not in a physical condition to record videos or do anything. For that matter, I was not even coding, so I was just doing some mental tasks and spending my time doing random and worthless things. But I decided to try something which I otherwise would not do, and that was Hackintosh-ing my stable Ubuntu system. So this is my Dell Inspiron 3542 laptop, which I have purchased in the year 2015 or somewhere around that time, and I have upgraded its RAM to 8GB and its HDD to a 250GB SSD. Apart from that, it's a Dell Inspiron 3542 model. So I decided that why should not I try something crazy, that is dual boot the system with macOS and try to Hackintosh this system so as to see like what the experience is like, and like can I really make a Hackintosh that is reliable enough to be used as my day-to-day driver. So in this video I am going to tell you about my experience regarding Hackintosh-ing a laptop or building Hackintoshes in general. So let's get started.
Subscribe to Rayn Studios YouTube channel in order to learn more about software development. Also make sure to click the bell icon in order to be notified whenever a new content is available on the channel.
So let's start with the resources I followed in order to Hackintosh this system. So the very first thing I did was Google searching how to create a Hackintosh or how to load macOS or install macOS on a Dell laptop. The very first link I landed on was a link from this website TonyMacX86 or something.com, and I found that guide really helpful and it was as detailed as any link regarding macOS could be, and I followed that thing and I created a pen drive which is this one. This is a 65GB pen drive, and I made this pen drive bootable with a macOS Mojave operating system, which I downloaded on my MacBook Air, and I downloaded this tool known as UniBeast, and it is a recommended piece of software in order to create a bootable macOS drive for your Hackintosh. So I downloaded all of that macOS Mojave and that UniBeast and MultiBeast tools and followed all of the instructions. It was an easy guide to follow and it actually did the job perfectly. At the end of the day, I was having a fully bootable USB drive which I could boot macOS from. Now, after installing this macOS, you would be required to install some custom text. Now, text are kernel extensions, and these extensions are necessary for you to put inside your macOS or Hackintosh system in order for your devices like the Wi-Fi card and the keyboard and the touchpad and all to work. Now you need to download these custom text from elsewhere. TonyMacX86 was not particularly helpful in finding those texts, so I used random searches with the title Dell Inspiron 3542 Wi-Fi driver, or since I have a Arthros Wi-Fi card in my driver, so I was using combination of several terms like that in order to find relevant text, but I was unable to find most of the text for Mojave system. Hence I decided to fall back to High Sierra, and that was something I did. I actually wasted 5 hours of my life in making macOS Mojave work on my system, but I was unable to find any relevant driver for my Wi-Fi card, and that was a deal breaker for me, because without Wi-Fi there would not be any point in using a Hackintosh system, because I would not be able to download any other piece of software on my Hackintosh. Hence I decided to fall back to High Sierra because I was Google searching about Mac OS Mojave drivers for this model, and all I was finding was drivers for High Sierra operating system, and I thought logically for a moment, and it actually made sense since High Sierra have been in the market for a longer period of time as compared to Mac OS Mojave, which has been released only a few weeks back, as most of the people might have created custom cakes for various hardware devices. So I again went back to my Mac and downloaded Mac OS High Sierra operating system, and then I refollowed a relevant guide from Tony macOS x86.com or whatever the name of that site is, in order to create a bootable drive out of that High Sierra download on my MacBook Air, and the process was as similar to the process I followed for macOS Mojave. Once I had that, I followed the exact same process to install that macOS High Sierra on my Hackintosh. After the installation, I was able to find graphics for most of my hardware devices. So I was able to make my Wi-Fi card work. I had to follow a YouTube tutorial, and that guy was also using this exact same model. Hence, I was able to download the Kernel extension from the link he provided, and it actually worked because his video was as detailed as a video could be. And there are other random GitHub links or sources which I followed in order to download individual text or kernel extensions, or you can say drivers for my devices. So when I installed the system, my keyboard, my touchpad, my Wi-Fi driver, my Bluetooth driver, and like what else was there? And my display driver, like the internal Intel HD graphics, none of them were working. So I had to download and follow several different guides in order to make those individual drivers work. And it was quite an effort. So in case you are contemplating building a Hackintosh, make sure that you would be required to Google the hell out of everything, because you are going to find roadblocks after roadblocks, because Mac OS is not quite compatible with most of the hardware out there. So you would be on your own if you are not following Apple's recommended piece of hardware that Mac OS actually supports or it is compatible with. So that was all about the installation part of making Mac OS work on your system. Now let's move on to the next thing, that is like the overall experience. So although I was able to install Mac OS, and this machine actually is more capable than my MacBook Air, the overall experience of using a Mac OS operating system is far superior on my 5-year-old MacBook Air than this Hackintosh, because although I was able to make the Intel HD graphics work, and which is actually similar to the one I have on my MacBook, the performance or the graphics experience was not the same. There was this constant flickering issue which I was not able to get rid of anyhow, although I tried to install NVIDIA graphics, which ultimately crashed my Mac OS, so it no longer boots on its own. So I have to use this pen drive in order to boot Mac OS now, which is installed on my SSD. But the thing is that I did some custom settings to install that NVIDIA graphics driver, which I downloaded from NVIDIA's website, and it installed correctly, but after rebooting, somehow the bootloader, that is Clover, got corrupted, and I have tried every single thing out there. I have wasted almost 9 to 10 hours in debugging the bootloader issue, but I have failed miserably. So this system no longer boots macOS on its own since last 25 or 26 hours, because I tried to install NVIDIA graphics. But even with the Intel HD graphics in place, this system was far behind in experience graphics wise, as compared to the experience I have on my MacBook Air. So the transitions were not smooth, the animations were nowhere to be found, everything was just like non-crispy. Then I downloaded Chrome because I use Chrome all the time, and Chrome had this unique flickering issue, so it was constantly flickering while Google searching and things like that. So it was a deal breaker for me because I was unable to use Google Chrome even though my Intel HD graphics, that's like for Intel HD 4400, were working on my Hackintosh system, but still the graphics experience was quite bad. Then I tried to install iMovie from Apple App Store because I would like to edit my videos on this powerful machine. But after downloading and executing that iMovie software, I discovered that it required hardware acceleration, and I certainly don't know why it did not work out. Despite a working Intel HD graphics installation, why iMovie was unable to figure out that the hardware acceleration was not there. And I am not even sure like if the hardware acceleration was working or not, because to the best of my knowledge it should work, because my MacBook Air has Intel HD graphics and there is no graphics card whatsoever in my MacBook Air, and still iMovie was fluidly on that system, and I was using the same internal Intel HD graphics on this Hackintosh, and iMovie just decided to throw an error at me that it would require hardware acceleration, and it was unable to find any sort of hardware acceleration on this machine. So I was like what was I supposed to do? I had no idea. And then I decided to install NVIDIA graphics, and that was when it actually crashed my system. So that is a whole story of how the experience of using macOS was. I wanted to try Xcode on it, but I think that it would be a similar story for Xcode as well, because I would be launching iOS simulators on this machine, and I think that it would fail as well, stating the very same hardware acceleration reason, because under the hood I think that iOS simulators use Intel virtualization somehow, which I have disabled as suggested by the Stony macOS x86 website in order to install the macOS operating system. And I was not sure after re-enabling that option in the BIOS, would my system even boot or not. So by and large, the overall experience of using a macOS operating system was nowhere to be found on this price conscious Hackintosh system, which I tried to build out of my 4-year-old upgraded laptop. So now comes the final part. Would I recommend you to build a Hackintosh? The answer is no. So if you want to have a premium experience, you should go out and buy a real Mac. Although I do understand that Apple hardware can be limiting because you cannot upgrade things in a way you want to if you have bought a Mac system, because Apple does not allow you to do that. But in case of your custom build, you will be having that sort of freedom. But the thing is that you would be setting yourself up for quite a lot of trouble to do manual tasks like making your hardware drivers work and all, and you would be facing that sort of trouble every so often, because every single time Apple is going to release a new piece of Mac operating system or an update, you would be required to go out on Google and find new kernel extensions or the updated kernel extensions for your hardware driver. And if the update is new, there will be high chances that you will not be able to find updated text, because it actually takes some time for this Hackintosh community to come up with the customized text for certain hardwares, right? So you would be stuck in that case. Also, you will find yourself helpless under scenarios where Apple decided that enough is enough and they decided to kill this Hackintosh revolution. Then they can just push out an update without detailing what they actually have done in that update, and as soon as you install that update on your Mac or Hackintosh device, it is going to be bricked without you even knowing. So that sort of a thing can happen because everybody knows Apple that it likes to get after the pirates and the people who do not really want to use their devices and their softwares in ways Apple wants them to use, right? And by the way, creating a Hackintosh is actually a copyright infringement. It is actually a crime because as per Apple's or Mac OS's terms and condition, the Mac OS operating system can only be downloaded and installed on one real Apple device. Since I am in custody of a Mac real device, I was able to download the update, but it was only for creating rescue drives or to install the operating system on my real device. But you are not allowed to put that update which you have downloaded from Mac store using a real Mac device on any other non-Apple device. It should be used on that very same Mac. So like they allow you to download these updates or these system images to do installation or the upgradation or the rescue part related to your machine, but you cannot use that same system image in order to create a Hackintosh out of it because it kills their margin and their profit, right? So there are things like that which you should be aware of, that it is not a legal thing you are going to do there, and then the experience is not going to be fun. Although Apple is not going to come and hunt you down, because that is like quite highly unlikely, because there are a plethora of people using Hackintoshes out there, and like Apple would be wasting quite a lot of effort if they actually tried getting after these Hackintoshes. It would make no sense for Apple, because seriously it would be a wastage of effort for Apple, right? But it's not a legal activity, and then on top of that the experience is not going to be fun, and you would be always last in the line to get the update, because once any sort of macOS related update is out, the community, the Hackintosh community has to generate custom cache for other non-compliant hardwares and then upload it somewhere in order to distribute them. So it would take a substantial amount of time for any non-supported community to come up with the hacks or the solutions or the workarounds. So you would always find yourself yearning for the latest and the greatest of what macOS has to offer. So like you have to consider all these 3 points of getting updates late or infringing upon Apple's copyright, and then the performance and the overall experience. So those were my reasons for not recommending you to create a Hackintosh. If you can shell out some money, you should better go and buy a real Mac device, because then you can just sit back and relax and use a perfectly supported system, and believe me, the ROI in buying a real Mac is on point. You are not going to regret your decision, and you would be supported for like 5 years or 6 years down the lane as far as updates are concerned, which is quite awesome for any sort of software. So those were my reflections on building Hackintosh, not technically building, but installing or making a Hackintosh out of your Windows or Ubuntu PC, and what things you can encounter, and should you really consider having a Hackintosh as your daily day-to-day drivers. I think that I might have addressed your queries if you had one, and in case you are new here, I release weekly videos about software development and computer science and everything related to the things which you might have seen on this video, and like other things like that. So in case you are interested in all of those stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because hey, I will like it if you can follow me, right? If you like this content, why not follow a fellow YouTuber, right? So it makes sense. Also, in case you found the material in this video useful, make sure to press this like button and share it with your network, because see, that will motivate me and I will produce more videos like this one. And if you did not like the video, make sure to press that thumb down button so that I would get a feedback that okay, some people might not have found my content useful. Also, if you have any sort of suggestion or question or thoughts about building a Hackintosh, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section. I will try to answer your queries as precisely as possible. So this is your guy Rajesh Saxena signing off. Take care. Bye bye.